Hey guys, welcome to another Drak and Shadow review. Now you might notice, where's the Shadow Blazer? Well, the Shadow Blazer skipped out on this review, so I want you guys to leave a comment below and shame him for doing so. Just because I'm only in good fun. You know, me and Alex have been talking about this film for, I want to say, a couple of months now, ever since we saw the first trailer for it. And I was like, we kind of got to do this. And he was like, okay, whatever. And finally, like in the 11th hour, he's like, dude, I just don't want to go. I just don't want to see this film. And I actually had another opportunity come up. My brother wanted to go see it with me. So, Alex, you're off the hook on this one. But next one, you're part of. All right. So, welcome to the Drak and Shadow vlog, or rather the Drak vlog, of Terminator Genisys. So, let me give a little bit of history before I get into the review itself. First of all, I want to point this out. There will be no spoilers in this review. So I know we do the spoilers on the Drak and Shadow review, but I've been thinking about it ever since I saw the film, and I'm just thoroughly convinced it's not a good idea to spoil it, to go into the story. First of all, because it is really difficult to explain, and I don't want to have to explain. And on top of that, it's just really one of those things where you need to experience it for yourself. And obviously, a Terminator fan is going to love this, but the rest are going to have some issues. So with that said, here's my history with the Terminator films. A lot of people might have guessed like, oh, well, he's been around since the 80s, so he saw them. No, I actually didn't. I did not see the first Terminator film or the second until my early 20s. And I'm kind of glad I did, because then at that point, I had already gained kind of that appreciation for film, and I could see the difference between the original Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and see how well James Cameron did with that film. So I saw those two in like a special edition DVD years later. I saw Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines in theaters. That's actually what got me to watch the first two movies, is because I was kind of excited for T3 and kind of regretted that, because I kind of walked out of there not liking T3. And I know I'm not the only one that didn't like it. But with that said, I saw that in the theaters. Terminator Salvation, never saw that in theaters. In fact, Terminator Genisys actually kind of inspired me to go look into it. And now I kind of wish I didn't, because I didn't really like it that much. It just didn't really seem like a Terminator film to me. So that being said, and then also the TV show, if I don't want to murder this, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Never saw a single episode of it, and not because, like, it's not that I'm not a Terminator fan. I just appreciate the first two films, and I think they did everything that needed to be done. And T3 was exciting when it was being hyped, but, well, it just didn't live up to the hype. And up until that point, nothing had really beaten T2. I also will state nothing has. But let's go ahead and get into Terminator Genisys. Wow, I am having such a hard time saying this stuff. So again, I'm not really going to go into the spoilers here, but suffice to say, here are a couple of things that you need to know for this review to make sense. First of all, apparently there is a Terminator multiverse now, because of the actions that have been taken in the previous films. There is now a multiverse. There is now multiple ways. You know, the future has forked, and so this deals in a lot of the concept of, we've now created alternate realities. That being said, I'm not going to tell you how, and I'm not going to tell you why. But so you have to deal with this concept. And here's the thing too, with the trailers, I wasn't the only one saying these, but like when I started seeing the Genisys trailers, I'm like, this is basically going to take tank treads and just steamroll over the Terminator continuity. And I was right. It really does. It basically tries to tell its own story, but at the same time, steamroll over everything that has happened since. So none of that is canon, because it's now been handled in a different way. So while that is frustrating for anybody who wanted Terminator continuity, if you can even say there is any, it's still an entertaining Terminator film. So I will say that much. But overall, the story is very, very hard to explain. And like I said, I'm not going to spoil it because if you want to see what this story is about, just go to the theaters. Because if you're that interested in what this is going to do, you're probably a Terminator fan. And you will probably get some kind of enjoyment out of this film. Me, I got some. I mean, I knew what I was walking into. I wasn't expecting a glorious piece of art. I really wasn't. I was expecting to go in, watch Terminators blow the crap out of each other, and I got what I wanted. So at that point, good popcorn flick. It was really fun to see, all the various stunts that they had doing, including just Arnold. First of all, my mug's off to you, man. I'm not the big, I haven't seen a whole lot of the Arnold movies, but I have seen Terminator. And even in Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, he has found ways to kind of top his performance, at least in the funny ways. So I will, wow, I really sound like Shaggy, and I apologize. I'm getting over this stupid summer cold, strep, more like it. But overall, I will say, if you're a Terminator fan, you will enjoy the crap out of this film. You will get everything you wanted out of it. Except you really do have to check your brain at the door. But it's a Terminator film, and it deals with time travel, and at that point, anybody could start using a wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey statement, which is actually kind of funny, because we'll get into the cast a little bit later, but it just so happens that I think, I'm pretty sure, one of the Doctor Who's was in the film. So, at that point, I'm going to half-heartedly make a joke. So if you're a Doctor Who fan, you are apparently pro-Skynet. Because, yeah, the Doctor is Skynet. That's who he plays. So, like I said, I don't really want to spoil this stuff, but I'm just going to go ahead and go into my likes and my dislikes. Obviously, the biggest like is it's a Terminator film. You're going to get what you want out of this film as long as you know what you're walking into. And that's fine. It's perfect for what it is. It is a Terminator movie for 2015. So it does that. Some of the dislikes that actually, let me go into some of the other likes. Another like that I have is the new Terminator in this, which I don't think I'm spoiling because it's in the TV spots all over the place. And if I'm spoiling, I'm sorry. But there's a lot of TV spots out there that are saying, ooh, John Connor is the new Terminator. And that's correct. He is the new Terminator. And I will say, at least to this regard, that is probably the most the most intimidating Terminator they've had since the original mecha endoskeleton. It really was kind of intimidating to look that thing in the eye, especially when it's in its full form, or its full machine-like form. I will say it did the intimidation factor way better. And I don't know if this is because of the actor's performance, but like compared to the TX, the Terminatrix, as they made the joke back in the day, that was not intimidating to me at all. It looked kind of silly, in all honesty, when you got to the mechanical parts. And compared to the T2 intro, which has just this metal skeleton, wielding around a laser rifle, that's an intimidating sight. So I will applaud Terminator Genisys for doing that. It really worked. This new Terminator, which is basically, I don't know what, you know what, I could make this joke, and I'm probably going to make it. This is officially the T-Virus. So, yes, John Connor is a Terminator, and it's because of this new Terminator strain that can make you into a Terminator. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but go with it. I will say his performance was really well done, especially since 80% of it was as a Terminator that did act like John Connor. So his performance was spot on in what it needed to do. But for the most part, what it needed to do was have him be intimidating and walk towards Arnold in a fashion that he's not getting hurt. And I thought he did a great job with it, especially since this is supposed to be like a T-1000 kind of hybrid kind of thing. So my hat's off to the performer there. He was actually one of the bigger likes of the film. The other big like was Arnold, because I think Arnold even looked at this film and just said, "This isn't going to be serious, is it?" Oh, I'm sorry, I need to go into my Arnold. "This isn't going to be serious, is it? I can just hand this clap up, can't I?" I swear that's the conversation they had. They're just like, "Go nuts, Arnold. This is basically Terminator making fun of itself to the most extent while trying to tell a story." So the other big like was Arnold's portrayal of this T-800. And they called it Pops throughout most of the film because he's been around a while. And I love the fact that we had like a CG redone original young Arnold up against an older one. I thought that was really funny. I think even in the theater, we actually had a guy who's like, "The Governator's coming to get you!" It was like, yeah, pretty much. This is Governator Arnold, so you can't really hold that against him. But yeah, I have to say one of the biggest likes of this film was Arnold's performance. And really just, not in the fact that, I get it, it's a Terminator, he's supposed to be serious 80% of the time. But they also love doing the whole T2 thing of trying to acclimate him into society, and it fails horribly. So like having him say things like "bite me," and being completely serious. This movie actually had him doing like they tried to make him more hospitable by having him smile. And it was such a creepy smile, because it was like, he doesn't really get how the smile works. And it worked. It was awesome. I loved it. It's creepy as hell, and that's what it's supposed to be. So hats off to you, Arnold. I think he had fun with that. I really do. There's even a better moment where they actually spoof cops, and they actually have the cops' music happening, and the characters you're following all get mugshots, and at the very end, it's Arnold, and he tries to do the creepy smile, and it's great. I swear, that's going to be an internet meme a month from now. So, dislikes with the film. All the convoluted time travel BS. I mean, it was so hard to follow this and take it seriously. And I finally this is how hard it was. I eventually just gave up. I said, you know what? I promised I was going to check my brain at the door, and I haven't done that. So that's probably one of my bigger dislikes with the film. The story doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, even though it tries to. I guess the concept here is that it's trying to establish a new trilogy. Since Terminator Salvation didn't do that, they put the money towards Terminator Genisys, and they're trying to get another trilogy out of it. And I'll get in my opinions later when I kind of give a final analysis, but that's kind of one of my dislikes, is that this basically takes a lot of the Terminator continuity that we had and steamrolls over it. And just, we had the original Terminator come back in 1984 to come and kill Sarah Connor, and they have that first moment where he's like, "Your clothes, I need them now." And then all of a sudden you see old Arnold come out of nowhere and just like, "I've been waiting for you." And they go at it. It's stuff like that that's just kind of dinky, but it kind of worked for the film, and it's just a dislike to me. If you were just going to have a Terminator film, I think way too much thought went into the story here. Especially in the fact that now we have a Terminator multiverse, so see how well that worked out. As far as other dislikes, I didn't really have like any cinematography dislikes or anything like that. I think they did well for the shots that they were trying to portray. A lot of it is CG, and I understand why. But I didn't have any other major problems with it. The score was a little lackluster, and I think that's just because they didn't have the rights to every piece that has ever been done on the Terminator films. So they had like a variation of the Terminator theme, and the dun 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 dun, and it was more like an electronica kind of thing, and it's just like, no, you need the actual song to make this relevant and to make it worthwhile. And if you're going to try and mimic it, it doesn't really work. Especially if you're going to try and mimic it with like rave music. It didn't work. Nothing against rave music. It didn't work for this particular song. And I love the Terminator theme, especially the Terminator 2 theme. I love the big bangs of dun 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 dun. But the score was kind of unnoticeable. Aside from all the visuals were really what were on display here, and the music, I dare say, doesn't really complement things very well either. Another I forgot was another cast member that I loved return, and I believe, he's been in all the Terminator films, is J.K. Simmons. I believe so. He was in the first Terminator as the detective who was looking into the Sarah Connor case, and then he comes back in Terminator 2. I believe he was there for Terminator 3. No need for him in Salvation. But he comes back for Genisys, and man, he's like the lowest cop on the totem pole. Everybody thinks he's crazy. This guy's had a horrible, horrible life ever since the Terminator walked into it. And so it's one of those things where you felt bad for JK's character, but at the same time, he did it so well. He literally made this detective into a conspiracy nut, and it was lovable to watch. Especially it was like, I know you, and I know you, and why the hell are you here? You look exactly the way you should. And it's just like, dude, technically along the rules of time travel, you should have gone insane by now. And the fact that you haven't is amazing. That's great. So he was another plus to watch things, especially his interactions with Arnold. They went above and beyond, those two. I think they have a great chemistry there, especially with, Arnold has to look at him and just go 80% serious the entire time. And JK has to be afraid of him. And it just works. It was hilarious to me. But it was worth it to me. Those are pretty much the likes and the dislikes here. As far as cast performances, I can't really pull out any specific performances aside from the ones that I have. And I'm not remembering their names off the top of my heads. My heads. I have two heads. Arnold obviously is the one that kind of stole the show, at least for me. J.K. Simmons, I like his performance. The people who did John Connor, the Terminator, I thought he was great. I also thought I actually tried to look this up and I couldn't find who played him, but there was a T-1000 in this film, and it was not played by Robert Patrick. It was played by an Asian guy. I could have sworn that was Grant Imahara from Mythbusters. He has a very similar face, and I was wrong. But dude, he played that role very, very well. You would not have guessed that wasn't Robert Patrick. That it eventually didn't shapeshift into Robert Patrick. So I will compliment him as well. The people who played Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese, I think, did fairly well, but their relationship chemistry didn't work out that great. Because a lot of the time they were trying to fight the whole concept of, fate dictates that we be together, and they were trying to fight against it, I guess, is the best way to explain it. And it didn't come off well. It was arguing that didn't need to happen a lot of the time. So I will say that their individual performances, especially Kyle Reese and John Connor, they had great interactions. But Kyle and Sarah, not so much, unfortunately. But the performances were overall well, but it's Arnold and the Terminators that kind of stole the show, and I'm willing to acknowledge that. So final, we've already gone like 20 minutes here. I promise, I wish I could make this a longer review, but having interactions with Alex is kind of the thing. Final analysis on Terminator Genisys. If you are deconstructing it as a film, you will have problems, and you will not like it. If you bring your brain to this and try and analyze it, you're going to get lost. And grats to you, because you're going to have a headache right after. So if you're going to go in and enjoy it just for a popcorn fest, which is usually how these Terminator films go, then you'll get what you want out of it. You'll get enjoyment. Your kids will be confused as crap, but you, the Terminator fan, will enjoy it. But as far as like an overall film, it had problems, especially in the story department. And I will also say, in part of final analysis, I know this is trying to get a new trilogy going, but the way that the movie kind of ends, I think you don't need it. Like, if this did not fund another Terminator film, I think I'd be okay with that. Just because, compared to like the Rise of the Machines ending, this ends on kind of a more positive note than, and a more of a closure note than Rise of the Machines. I would dare say it's similar to Terminator 1, where you have the end where it's like, yes, the future looks bleak, but it also looks promising because John Connor's coming, kind of thing. Sarah Connor is pregnant with him, and the future is somewhat assured. And that's kind of the same thing they tried to do with this film. And that's why I'm saying I don't know if I would necessarily say I'd want another sequel after this. I thought I was going to walk in here and just rip it a new one and just say, dude, it steamrolls over all the good continuity, and I'm not really there. I still don't think there should be another movie. I think this closes out the series fairly well, but who knows? It might happen. But yeah, overall, my opinion of it is, for what it does well, but it's not like the most stellar film I've seen the entire year. I would dare say that some of even the lesser movies did more for me than this. So I would probably give this like a 7 out of 10. I give this like a C+. Because really the people who are going to enjoy this are Terminator fans. You're the ones who are going to get enjoyment out of it. Anybody who's coming new to the series, I would wholeheartedly recommend you go to the first two films. You will get why it's such a good series. Genisys won't really tell you that. But yeah, I think a solid C+ is where it's standing. As far as how much money I would actually pay for going to see this film, I saw it at matinee price, and I probably recommend that for everybody else. I don't know if I'd want to see this at like $7 or $8 a pop. Certainly not in 3D. Certainly not in IMAX. I got what I wanted out of a matinee showing, and I think you will too, as long as you keep things cheap, or you just wait for DVD. I mean, really, you could probably get your enjoyment out of this as a DVD feature and feel better because you spent less money. You went to Redbox instead of to a movie theater. So yeah, that is my review of Terminator Genisys. I can promise you guys, for the next film, me and the Shadow Blazer will be back together. I'm not remembering what that film is right off the top of my head, but we will be back soon because it's July. Actually, I think the next one is Ant-Man. So we will be back for Ant-Man, back together to review the first movie in the third wave of Marvel films. But till then, I'm Drak, and this has been my review of Terminator Genisys.